When I initially got the assignment, I was going to photograph Holocaust survivors as they were interviewing and telling their stories and the things that they had experienced. I had no idea that it would end in the kitchen of my great aunt's house.
Hi.
Hey, Grandma Betsy.
Come on in.
Good to see you.
Good to see you. Come here now.
All right. Can I get you to stand right here?
Right here.
I didn't think we were going to look at my family and our history, but it was so similar to the stories that we were hearing, and I thought, why not document and tell the story to a new generation, to my generation.
You probably don't know what half of this stuff is.
You
These are from Grandpa and Grandma. They bought it in Germany.
Okay.
But it comes from Japan.
So is the tusk, and then we have our mini Torah.
Yeah, it's a mini Torah. And this is, and they're all stuck in, it's a horn. What do they call it? A shofar.
Shofar, yeah. Betsy is my grandmother's twin sister. My grandma has since passed, and Grandma Betsy is my sort of link to my grandma and my history and our family heritage. Oftentimes, people are surprised when they hear that I have a Jewish grandma or I have a German heritage because you wouldn't know by looking at me. Yeah, you're gonna look at this camera, okay?
Okay.
All right, here we go. I'll take a photo. I think it's always important to understand my roots and where I come from, and to understand just a piece of the pie, a piece of this puzzle about how I got to where I am.
Come on, I made you something. Come on, sit down.
What is that?
Very good. Here.
Very good. I remember talking to Grandma about what a difficult choice that was to make for your dad, to leave everything behind and venture to a new world, a place he had never been. He'd only read up about it. If I was in that situation, I have absolutely no idea what I would do. But it's interesting in seeing.
What would you do?
I don't know.
Huh?
I don't know. I don't know what I'd do.
Yeah, I mean, you have to think about Grandpa.
Yeah.
And he made up his mind he was going to go. 1933 is when Hitler came to power. And that's when my father became a father. You know, we were born in 33. And so he thought, maybe I ought to make a move out of here.
So the family that stayed in Germany, most of them, they all were German Jews, right? All of them were sent to camps, and none of them survived.
Right. Yeah. I'll show you something. Which one is your
I couldn't tell you. Is that you?
I don't know. We don't know. So, and this is Grandma. Here she is again.
Yeah. And what happened to her?
She committed suicide because her husband went to the concentration camp and he got killed there, and then she just took her own life. I can't in my mind really figure out how people can be so cruel to each other. It's ugly, it's unbelievable. They wouldn't let the Jews have their stores. They would break down the glass, you know, the windows. They just didn't want them there, you know.
You know, is there anything that we as a younger generation can do other than acknowledging it, but being proactive and finding a way?
I think number one is important, that it should be taught in school. It should be discussed, because if you don't hear about it and you just read about it, it's almost like a fairy tale. You don't realize it really happened.
Yeah. And pretty soon there's not going to be anybody around who experienced any of it.
No, right. And my generation is probably the last generation to be here to have witnessed it.
Think about your story and think about the points you bring up about Jewish people who were banned from owning stores and not allowed opportunity based on their ethnicity. It is very similar to what was seen in America through Jim Crow. It's essentially the same thing, don't you think?
You're
Except
right.
to two different groups of people. But the core principle is that they're both being segregated. in a sense. Is there elements of that are still present today, do you think?
Yes, it is still present. The new generation, your generation, has to be aware of it.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
That's what this brings up. The fact that we can't change the past, but we can change going forward.
A picture of both of them.
There aren't too many photos of your dad. He seemed to be behind the camera much more than he was in front of it.
Who, Dad? Yeah, you're right.
Do you want to see some of his cameras that I brought?
Yeah, I love it.
Let's take a look.
I know
We
that's a
found-
Rolleiflex.
Yeah, this
Let
was
me
his,
see it.
this was his old Rolleiflex.
I am always grateful for the opportunity to talk to older individuals like Grandma Betsy or older uncles.
That way, just a little bit. That's
Too much?
Yeah, about half that, and then look back at me. Perfect.
You know, I think it is so coincidental that I found cameras from my great-grandfather. And today I got to shoot photos with that same lens of my great aunt. And that dynamic is so funny that, you know, it has traveled across the world. It has traveled across generation and race and age. And I get to continue to add life to this lens and add life to this family story.
All right, here we go. 3, 2, and 1.